Well, this November marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations Declaration for the partition of mandatory Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. Of course, Arab rejection of the plan led instead to the 1948 War of Israeli Independence. Now, Palestinians mark that event as their Nakba, the expulsion, what they see as the expulsion of their people in territory conquered by Israel. But Israelis and Jews have increasingly focused global attention on the subsequent expulsion and exodus of hundreds of thousands of Jews from Arab states. And that historical chapter is now being marked by a new exhibit at the Israeli mission inside UN's New York headquarters. Here is Israeli Ambassador Gilad Erdan on that.
והנכבה שהייתה באמת היא הנכבה היהודית של מאות אלפים, כמעט מיליון יהודים שגורשו מארצות ערב ומאיראן, שהיה להם שם רכוש ותרבות ומסורת ומשפחות. עכשיו באום אנחנו ניאבק על האמת הזאת ונראה לכולם מה באמת קרה לאחר 1947.
And joining us from New York, our senior U.S. correspondent Mike Wagenham. Mike, we've heard a lot about Palestinian refugee issues in the United Nations until now. When it comes to that Jewish exodus and expulsion also from some of those Arab countries, not so much at the UN, for sure.
No, and it's really a matter of narrative and counter-narrative, Calev. We hear on a weekly basis this committee or that committee out of the United Nations, whether it's a body in New York or Geneva, talking about the Palestinian issue. Oftentimes you hear about ethnic cleansing, accusing Israel of such crimes. Well, the counter-narrative, as pro-Israel supporters have put up, is, well, you want to talk about ethnic cleansing? Here you go. There were nearly 1 million Jews in the Middle East, in Arab lands, in Iran, as recently as the 1940s. Where did they all go? You want to talk about ethnic cleansing? There you are. When you talk about other issues, Israel accused of having European colonizers in Palestine. Well, you want to talk about Europeans? Well, let's talk about the North Africans, the Middle Easterners, those from the Levant, the Arabian Peninsula, who are in Israel, who make up the majority of the Jewish population. So it's all about establishing that counter-narrative. Last year, the Israeli mission to the UN held a rally outside the building, trying to push this particular narrative, this history of these Middle Eastern Jews who were pushed out, persecuted. Now this year they're inside. Got a little bit of pushback from what I understand, but able to establish that small exhibition inside the halls of the UN. Ambassador Gilad Erdan going before the United Nations General Assembly today, pushing this same issue as the UNGA is supposed to hold a vote on officially establishing a Nakba Day next year, coinciding with the 75th anniversary of the founding of the State of Israel.
Right, Mike, let's talk a little about that pushback, because this is a battle that have been waged by activists for many years, even starting within here in Israel. And now you see it now getting this spotlight there in the UN, which has really been at maybe the heart of this counter-narrative situation you're talking about.
Yeah, it seems like every day we're talking about this body or this committee. It seems endless in terms of establishing the Palestinian narrative within the UN. It's a daily fight for the Israeli mission there, and the U.S. has gotten involved in some circumstances as well. It's going to go on until there's some sort of resolution, if it ever comes. But this is not only being waged in the halls of the UN. Obviously, it's being waged within international bodies, sometimes within international tribunals. The Commission of Inquiry we're seeing develop now through the UN Human Rights Commission in Geneva. It's all about telling a story. And honestly, and I think most experts would tell you this, Israel has done a poor job of telling its story throughout the years, throughout the decades. It's only recently that it's really invested time and resources in things like telling the story of the Jewish exodus, the Jewish pushing out of Jews from Middle Eastern lands. This will go on for a long, long time, Colin.
All right, Mike Wagenheim, thank you for that.